here is Dogecoin at this hour. 59 cents was up to 67, back and forth, back and forth. What's your take on this type of coin and the buzz around it? When obviously you're a Bitcoin guy, but when you hear something like Dogecoin, what do you make of this? And what would you say to my audience about it?
I would say that the Fed is expanding the money supply at 20% a year, and they're buying $120 billion worth of bonds, and the EU is buying $120 billion a month worth of bonds. So you've got all of the bonds in the world being bought by the central banks. So investors have been squeezed out of bonds. You can't buy bonds with any decent nominal yield. The real yield on bonds and cash is -15 to -20%. That's created a mad scramble for a store of value for all investors, and so they've all scrambled into ETFs. And first it was the Spider ETF, and then it was other ETFs. There's 2,500 ETFs. Equities have become the store of value, and that keeps pushing people out because they've lost confidence in conventional strategies and conventional money, conventional bonds, conventional treasury strategies. Because they've lost confidence and they've literally lost hope, they're being driven to speculate more. And the result is the GameStop saga. The result is the Archegos saga, where they put on huge leverage on equity. The result is the SPAC explosion, where people are literally buying speculative shell companies that do nothing but potentially do something that we don't know what, but they figure that's better than holding cash. They're being crowded into cryptos, and I think that the wise ones are buying Bitcoin because they understand that this is sound money for the next 100 years. But I also think that people are speculating in other cryptocurrencies, and it's not that different than the GameStop thing. You know, people are looking for something other than to wait and watch their money get debased. I think also, you know, it provides entertainment. People are getting entertainment from Robinhood. It's kind of fun. Dogecoin is fun. And if I take away the ability to go to a professional sporting event and gamble at the sporting event, then this is another way for me to gamble in the market. So I think ultimately it's good. It's understandable in the monetary environment. It's good for the crypto industry. It's generating massive awareness and massive enthusiasm. Lots of people are signing up. Lots of people are opening up accounts. I think there are 3 million people a week or more that are opening up accounts. I don't think that you're going to want to leave Dogecoin to your grandson or granddaughter. But on the other hand, I wouldn't begrudge you gambling on a boxing match or gambling on a basketball game if it were legal in the jurisdiction when you do it. I mean, what's the difference between that and buying a lottery ticket or just paying to go to the game, right? I mean, it costs money to do it. It costs $200 to go to a concert. And so if it's not allowed to go to the concert and I have the $200 and I'm bored on a Saturday night, what's my outlet? I think people are going to take a portion of their money and they're going to invest it in things they deem safe. And a safe thing a savings account is like Bitcoin. And they're going to take a portion of their money and they're going to bet it on equity that might not be so safe. And they're going to take some of their money and they're going to gamble it on something which is just fun and a flyer. And sometimes they just do it to give the finger to somebody. And sometimes because out of frustration, what else are you going to do?
Well, I think the finger thing, that I think you spot on. I think because, I worked in the mainstream media for 20 years. I know how the belly of the beast works, and I see all the, the corporate mainstream media wanting to point the finger at the GameStop trader, the little guy who wants to be in Dogecoin, when the real, you mentioned SPACs. When you look at the massive speculation, I mean, here's an article just today from David Dayen. Financial speculation is about more than GameStop day traders. The real speculation is happening at the top of the market through skyrocketing merger transactions and increases in the power of the biggest companies and these special acquisition companies. So it's very easy to paint the little guy as causing all this hysteria when the real, when the real thieves are sitting at the top. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I don't begrudge any individual investor their investment. I think you got to give power to the people, right? I mean, you should empower the public. They're adults. Let them live their life.
Like Mark Cuban said, I'd much rather buy Dogecoin than buy a lottery ticket. I think he's right about that. I want to get you out of here on this, Michael, which is, I don't know if you caught this interview or this piece that was floating around, Bill Maher the other night on HBO, taking the piss out of Bitcoin, of cryptocurrencies, and admits in this whole thing that he didn't even know really what he's talking about. I want to play this and just get your take on this.
And finally, new rule: nothing with crypto in the title ever turns out good. There is a mania rising in the country these days about cryptocurrency and how the train is leaving the station, so you better get on. Tesla has jumped in with both feet, and Microsoft accepts it for software now. Etsy accepts it now, and so does PayPal and Starbucks and Whole Foods and Home Depot. 1 in 10 Americans used their stimulus checks to invest in one of the cryptocurrencies in existence, Bitcoin being the most famous, but there's also Ethereum, Binance, Tether, even one called Cumrocket. There's also one called Dogecoin that someone started as a joke. There's all the other cryptocurrencies because the whole thing is a joke.
By the way, it sounded like half of his audience had invested in Dogecoin before they went into the theater. What did you make of Bill Maher's comments on this?
You could either just say it's indicative of the success of Bitcoin and the crypto industry in general, so that now it's something people want to roast. I guess that's the most charitable way to say it. He's getting laughs. I don't think he's invested 100 hours in Bitcoin to understand what it is. That much is clear. I imagine comedians made jokes about automobiles, planes, and trains. He himself, disparaged mobile phones,
right,
back in 2003. So he's a comedian. I wouldn't take my investment advice from a comedian, right? I mean, there's hundreds of millions of people that disagree with him, but if he says it funny enough, they might laugh. If anybody were to take him seriously, it would be a tragedy, because this is critical to the human rights of billions of people around the world, and so he's a little bit out of touch with the humanitarian elements of this. Billions of women and children that are going to starve to death without the ability to store property so they can feed themselves in the future isn't really a laughing matter. I mean, he makes it into a laughing matter, but if I stripped away all of his money and kicked him out on the street, and I closed his bank accounts, and I let him wander around, and then I said, well, Bill, we don't want you to lose electricity because there are some people, some rich Americans somewhere that don't like your use of it, it would seem a little bit cruel and insensitive, I think.